Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Gold, joining you at the start of another week. I hope you had a weekend. I hope, like me, if you're English and you've been watching the Euros and gripped to the Euros, you had fun on Saturday night. What a fabulous performance that was from England and from Gareth Southgate's team. All done without Bukayo Saka as well, but fingers crossed Saka will be back fit. Will be back perhaps in the starting 11 for Wednesday night's semi-final against Denmark. I don't think I've ever had such a stress-free night watching England play, certainly in a big game, as we had on Saturday. Just the perfect performance, the perfect result. And yeah, starting to dream now. But let's face it, a lot of you probably aren't even watching this video in England, so you don't really care too much about how England are getting on in the Euros. And so we'll talk about Arsenal and we'll talk about transfers. Plenty of other stuff to come in this video. Pre-season starts this week. I'll get to that a little bit. Also a little bit of a sort of shake-up in the coaching staff as well at Arsenal. I will get to that. But we'll start with transfers because we're getting pretty close to some things being done in terms of outgoings and incomings at the club. We'll start with outgoings and we'll start with Matteo Guendouzi, who is now in France. He's in Marseille, getting ready to bring the curtain down on his Arsenal career and start afresh with Marseille. Now, I wrote a story that went live on Goal on Saturday saying a deal had been agreed between the clubs, and now that has certainly got even closer to being done, with Guendouzi making the journey by private jet to Marseille. He arrived yesterday, and last sort of finishing touches will be done on that, medical, that sort of thing. Personal terms certainly not going to be an issue, and you think that had been done well in advance as well at this stage. So Guendouzi is heading to Marseille now. Initially, it's going to be a season-long loan for Guendouzi, but it comes with an obligation for Marseille to buy next summer. All in all, Arsenal are going to be getting about £10 million for Matteo Guendouzi. Is that enough? I mean, a lot of people have had their say in the last couple of days about that. Personally, for me, I think probably not. I think especially when you look at Arsenal going to be spending about £17-18 million probably on Albert Lokonga, who comes over from Anderlecht, has only been playing in the Belgium league. Yes, he's a very big young talent, but still £80 million for him, and yet Arsenal are going to be only getting £10 million for Guendouzi. He's played and done it in the Premier League. He's done it over in the Bundesliga last season, did pretty well when he was there. France under-21's captain. You know, it feels again like Arsenal are very much underselling one of their players here. It's something that's been done in the past, and it feels like it's happening again with this one. But Arsenal are in that situation I've talked about, that they really want to get some players out. They want to get things moving this summer. And, you know, they've not been fighting off lots of other interest when it comes to Guendouzi this summer. They need to get this one done, and it feels like they've just accepted this offer. And, I mean, only time will tell, really, if it goes on to and proves to be a mistake and proves to be if Arsenal's undersell. I don't know if there's going to be a sell-on clause involved in this. You would expect, or you would hope, Arsenal are smart enough to get a sell-on clause inserted in this deal, that if Guendouzi does play well for Marseille, he does end up moving on for pretty big money later on down the line, that Arsenal will at least receive something for that. But I don't know if that is the case or not. For Guendouzi, it feels like the time is right. He has to go. You know, the relationship is totally breaking down with Arsenal, with Mikel Arteta. That is very clear. There's no point in him sticking around. It's not doing him any favours, not doing Arsenal any favours. They want to move forward. They want to bring money in. They want to free up spaces in the squad to replace it with the likes of Lokonga, who we'll get to later on in this video. So it does feel like the time is right for the deal to be done. It's just a case of whether Arsenal have got the best out of this deal when it comes to the money they potentially could have got. You think of how much Guendouzi was probably worth at the end of that first season at Arsenal. It was an awful lot of money. He was nominated for the Golden Boy. He had a very good first season. You know, you're probably looking at £40 million player then, and then it's all nosedive pretty dramatically with the disciplinary issues, the fallout. He went to Bundesliga. He didn't exactly set the world alight over there. He didn't do particularly badly, but he didn't set the world alight over there, and so his value is absolutely plummeted. Whether it's plummeted enough to only accept £10 million for him, that is very much up to debate, and I would suggest not. I think you'd probably want more. But this is a situation Arsenal are in, and it's what they've decided to come to an agreement with Marseille. So anyway, I'm expecting that one to go through at some point relatively swiftly. The fact that Guendouzi is now over there, you know, it can't be much left for that one to do. So Matteo Guendouzi to Marseille, that is very, very close to being done. And someone who could potentially follow him, William Saliba. Now, as far as I'm aware, Saliba, we are not at anywhere near a stage of that being done yet with Marseille, but it is certainly on the cards that he could be going there and joining Guendouzi on loan for the season, not permanent as far as I'm aware. It will be a loan deal. There's been a lot of talk about an obligation clause being accepted into this one. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. Certainly not. I saw a figure of like 10 million or something like that. I don't think that's going to be the case at all when it comes to Saliba. There's still everything's being ironed out, and I'm told that deal is not something that is absolutely nailed on to be done yet, and there's still talks to be had. Saliba, it is believed, absolutely wants to go to Marseille. He had other options. He could have gone back to Nice, for example. I think Lille have been linked in France. Newcastle was certainly interested in taking him and keeping him in the Premier League, but he wanted to go to Marseille, and that is looking like it's expected to happen at some point, but still some work on it to be done. Personally, I'd like to see Saliba go to the Premier League, I have to say. We've seen it, he's done all right in France when he's been back there on loan. It would have been really good to see how he handles things in the Premier League. It would be giving us all a really good indicator of exactly where he is in development and whether he would be ready to play for Arsenal or not. You can understand his point of view, though, that if he wants to go back to France, he likes it there, he's suited to that, he knows the league. You can understand why he wants to do that, and I don't think Arsenal are in any position to really muscle Saliba into going to a club, given the way you'd say he's been treated since he's arrived here. So I'm not sure they're in a case to really sort of nail down exactly where he should be going. And it appears that he will be following Guendouzi. They're good friends as well, so he'll have mates in the squad there. And it appears like that's something that's going to be happening very, very soon. And William Saliba will be, like Matteo Guendouzi, a Marseille player. But as I said, we have to wait and see for it to actually all go through. It's not as far down the line as Matteo Guendouzi is. Right, let's talk about potential incomings, shall we? Now, we'll start with Nuno Tavares, quickly. Just a brief update on that one. He is now in England. He's got to go through quarantine issues. The deal's been done. It's all been agreed. Personal terms sorted. I believe the medical happened in Portugal as well, so that helped Arsenal get things further down the line. He arrived in England, I think it was Friday night or Saturday night. I can't remember now. It feels all a little bit too far away to nail down the actual day that he arrived, but he's here. I don't think it's going to be announced yet, as in today. I think we've got to wait and potentially until the quarantine issues are over, and then you've got all the photos and that sort of stuff to be done. But that's a deal that is very much imminent, and it's just a case of really waiting for the announcement and waiting for all the regulations that need to be seen through are passed, and he will be unveiled as an Arsenal player, obviously coming in for about £8 million as backup to Kieran Tierney. So that's one that is very close to being done. And Albert Lokonga, I'm told as well, that is still progressing and is on track to be done. Not all sorted yet. This one is one that seems to have rumbled on for an awful long time at the moment, but as far as I'm aware, I'm not told that it's a deal that is potentially under threat. It certainly feels to me, from what I'm hearing, that is a transfer that will be completed relatively soon. But in terms of when, I wouldn't be able to give you a date, but it is progressing, and I'm pretty sort of 95% confident that Lokonga is going to be an Arsenal player by the end of the transfer window. But until it's finalised, then you never know, something could go wrong. But from what I'm being told, I'd still be fairly confident. If you're out there and you're desperate to see Albert Lokonga arrive and be an Arsenal player, then I still feel you're probably you're going to be pretty pleased at the outcome eventually at some point during this transfer window. So he'll be coming in. I mean, it feels like he's going to be a replacement for Matteo Guendouzi, sort of fill that place in the squad. As I've mentioned before, I still expect Arsenal to sign a more experienced central midfielder, especially with Granit Xhaka. You would think going to be confirmed as a Roma player at some point if the deals can be agreed between Arsenal and Roma. It hasn't happened yet. Roma need to pay up. They haven't yet. And so the longer that rumbles on, who knows? Granit Xhaka might even end up at Arsenal next season. But I still expect that is a deal that will happen. He will end up playing for Roma next season. Arsenal will need to replace him. I'm not sure you sort of look at Lokonga as that man-for-man replacement for Xhaka, given his age, given his relative lack of experience. I know his quality, I know he's got a lot of potential, but still you need a more experienced player, I think, to come in alongside Thomas Partey in the central midfield next season for Arsenal. And there will be someone coming in. Maybe it'll be Ruben Neves. I've talked about that interest in him before, not really progressed since the informal talks with Wolves about him, but you never know. Camavinga, lots of you are asking about Arsenal with the interest in him. Lots of talk now that he's heading towards Manchester United. Only for about sort of 30 million as well, something like that, 30 million euros perhaps even, which feels like an absolute steal for a player of his potential and quality. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. And but yeah, in terms of Lokonga, I wouldn't get too worried about the fact it's not happened yet. I still believe it's something that Arsenal will get over the line at some point during the transfer window. One player who doesn't seem like he's going to be arriving is Matt Ryan. Obviously spent the second half of last season on loan at Arsenal, did very well, impressed a lot of people with his performances in the couple of games he did play, but also with the way he handled himself off the pitch. Was a really popular member. Arsenal were keen on getting him back this season as number 2, but he's going over to Spain to Real Sociedad by the looks of it, where he's going to be first choice. And that was always going to be Arsenal's issue when it came to Matt Ryan this summer, is that other clubs were looking at him as a first choice, whereas Arsenal were looking at him more as a second choice. And as much as Matt Ryan is an Arsenal fan, he enjoyed it here. He wants to be playing at his stage of his career, so it always felt like it might have been a little bit of a difficult one to persuade him to come back. Real Sociedad, good club, linking up with some other ex-Arsenal players, including Nacho Monreal there. So good luck to Matt Ryan if that happens. Did himself no favours. Did himself no harm in terms of Arsenal last season. A very popular, as I said, member of the squad. Impressed an awful lot of people. And I'm sure everyone at Arsenal will wish him the best of luck and hope to have a good time over in Spain, which is a decent move for him. And that goalkeeper situation at Arsenal is becoming a bit of an issue now. Bernd Leno's off on holiday. You've got to sort out what's happening with Bernd Leno. Is he going to decide that's it, we're going to go with Leno again as number 1? If you're going to do that, what are you going to do about his contract? He's only got 2 years left. Are you going to not open talks over him with that and then let him get into the final year? Next year, that's a bit of an issue. There has been interest in other goalkeepers. We know Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal are interested in. Would they pay up the money that Sheffield United want to get him out? Andre Onana, nothing's really happened with that apart since the interest and since the doping ban was reduced to 9 months. Not really the sort of the reduction Arsenal were perhaps hoping for Onana last I heard with him, it's looking more and more likely that he might stay at Ajax for the season and go on a free transfer next season into Milan. Certainly one of the clubs interested in him. Lyon believed to be very interested in him as well. Other clubs in France. Ajax not in the best of situations when it comes to him. If he's going to stay, they're going to end up losing him on a free transfer. Perhaps someone's still going to come in. There's still 2 months left of the transfer window, so someone might firm up they're interested in him and decide to take the plunge now rather than wait for the summer. Next summer, when there's going to be an awful lot of rival interest in him picking him up on a free transfer. But for Arsenal, it's you're in a sticky situation for the goalkeeper. You really haven't got a second choice now. Matt Ryan's not there. Runarson's not really good enough. Arthur Okonkwo still hasn't signed his new contract. That needs to be sorted. And then you need to sort out what you're doing with your first choice goalkeeper. Are you going to go really try and make a move for Aaron Ramsdale? If not, what you're going to do, just stick with Bernd Leno. Lots and lots to be sorted out when it comes to the goalkeeper situation at Arsenal. And I think that just the goalkeeper situation is a microcosm for the huge amount of work that needs to be done on the squad this summer. And the clock is ticking. The transfer window is fast progressing. The season's not far away now. Things need to start happening at Arsenal. Okay, so in terms of pre-season, a lot of the players will return this week at London Colney from Wednesday. I understand players will start returning back. Not all of them, obviously. You got your international players. Bernd Leno's only just started his holiday, so players who went out of Euros, they get extra time off. Bukayo Saka's still at the Euros, obviously, so he's going to be way off in terms of returning for Arsenal. He hasn't even had his holiday yet. Lucas Torreira has just finished with Uruguay over at the Copa America, so he's not going to come back just yet. So there are still players who won't be returning, but plenty of them will. And I think not actually that many have been playing in international duty, so it's going to be a very strong squad returning for Arsenal on Wednesday. First couple of days will probably be about tests and recovery and working out just how fit everyone is and what they've been doing during the summer before we really start seeing the ball work. And then Arsenal head off the week after that to Scotland for a week-long training camp and to their first 2 pre-season games when they'll play Hibernian and Rangers. So we are getting to that stage of the summer now where it all starts kicking off. We do start seeing the players back. We'll start seeing training ground videos again, and we'll start not too far away from seeing those international friendlies. So sort of big week at Arsenal and at London Colney. And just lastly, before I go, a bit of news about a coaching change at Arsenal. Andreas Georgson's kind of assistant first team coach who's been specialising at set pieces at Arsenal from Sweden. He has left. He has gone back to Sweden and has linked up with Malmo. I'm told the change is all very amicable. He's Swedish, obviously he's got an opportunity to move back home. So he has gone, and Arsenal have brought in Nicolas Jover from Manchester City. He used to be at Brentford. Pep took him to Manchester City, and he's been working on the set, sort of specialising in set pieces at Manchester City for the last couple of years. Mikel Arteta played a big part in getting Jover to Man City a couple of years ago. obviously very close with him, works with him well, impressed with what he's been doing, and he has now brought him over to Arsenal as well. So he is going to be replacing Andreas Georgesson, and it will be a similar role, assistant first team coach, but will be specialising in set pieces. So that's a little bit of news in terms of coaching shake-up at Arsenal. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. Do enjoy the start of your week wherever you're watching this around the world, and please do keep updated. Keep your eyes peeled to goal for all your latest Arsenal news.